Okay, so allow me to share my screen first. So let me ask if my screen is already visible on your end. Please say
Yes, ma'am.
yes.
Visible,
Are
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Visible.
visible. Okay, thank you so much.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we have already discussed the two types of exemplars. Okay, in fact, we've also included the third type of exemplar, which is post letem motam exemplar. Okay, so do you have any questions or clarifications about this topic? Do you have any clarifications? Okay, if there is none, then
Ma'am,
let's. Yes?
ma'am,
Yes, go ahead.
ang i-clarify ra na ko, ma'am, if ang known kay amo to siyang informal while ang unknown mo to siyang formal.
Okay, that is a very good question. So when you say collected, these are the informal. Okay, informal exemplars. While you requested, these are the formal exemplars. Okay? And okay, so mo to dahil sakto to siya. Your informal is your collected, meaning to say these are standards or exemplars that has been executed a day before, a month before, a weeks before. While your formal exemplar or requested standards, these are standards that are only produced or executed if requested. Okay, so these are the two major types. But then again, we do have also this one, the post lete motam exemplar, wherein even if it is not yet requested, you can still produce, no, produce voluntarily your writings, submit a writing, submit a fresh specimen of your handwriting, just to prove your claim. Okay, establishing your your clear intention that you do not have something to do with the issue itself. Follow up question, please.
Wala na, ma'am.
All right. So now let us look at the disadvantage of a requested exemplar. So can you please read, Asong?
Disadvantages of request writing samples. Request writing taken after the incident may not be as close to the date of the questioned writing as informal documents executed in the normal course of business. Courts consider request writing taken after the fact as self-serving and may not allow it. Some writers will deliberately disguise their request handwriting. The person taking the request writing needs to take this into consideration. Suggestions for taking request writing are covered later in this chapter.
Yes,
Ma'am.
yes, thank you, Asong. So that is correct that the most common problem with a requested exemplar or requested standards is that it is very common, no? Commonly, the subject normally disguise their handwriting. That is why in the procedures of taking a requested writing, which we have discussed last meeting and which was also included in the recorded discussion, that one of the best way in order to eliminate, or shall I say discover possible, no, kanang possible nga pag-disguise sa handwriting sa usa ka subject subjected to a requested exemplar is that kinahanglan that all samples of words or combination of letters of the words should be dictated. Nya upon dictation kinahanglan the paper, the material, and the the pen writing instrument should also be removed, and there should be an interval, dapat dili idirekta, there should be an interval, there should be a gap of time para ang usa ka subject providing a requested standard or exemplar nga nagdisguise siyang handwriting, it would be hard on his or her part to remember kung giunsa niya pagsulat. Mo nang kinahanglan, it should be dictated. Sige na kog mention nga combination of words and combination of letters of the words. Kay nga naman, before manggod, the question document examiner requests for the collection of a requested or formal exemplar, kinahanglan iyang studihan ang question document and look for these unusual strokes of the letters or of the words nga stipulated in the question document or disputed document. And those unusual strokes, okay, unusual strokes, unusual pen stop, unusual hiatus or disconnection of the letters, unusual left slant or right slant, okay, and other individual characteristics that is found on the disputed or question document. These are the letters or the words that will be lifted. Okay? Dayong pagkahuman, these are the letters or the words that will be utilized for dictations. Question. Do you have? Nagkasinabot tas akong but pasabot? Kinsay wala kasabot sa akong but ipasabot? Hello? Wala. Okay, so it may be difficult or impossible to duplicate a writing environment of a suspect document in order to obtain comparable documents. So the writer may not be available to request writing, or circumstances may have caused changes that make it impossible to obtain a similar request writing samples. So these are the suggested procedure in taking a requested handwriting or exemplar. Una, let the subject sit in a natural position at a table or a desk having a smooth handwriting surface. Remember, nga kinahanglan ang dapigan sa iyang sinulatan, it should be smooth. Then tawagan niyo yung armchair. Di ba normally, sa ato ang when we still had our face to face classes, you were only allowed to have one paper, one piece of paper during quizzes. And normally, you students, what you do is that you look for kanabang bangko or lamisa wherein it has a smooth surface. Kay the surface of the table itself can also affect the handwriting. It may cause the unusual natural variations of the handwriting or an unusual tremors or abnormality caused by the unsmoothness of the surface of the table or the desk. Manang importante kayo nga una, it should be smooth. Next, furnish the subject with a paper and writing instrument that is similar. Yes, muna kong giingon ninyo. That for example, if the disputed or question document is written in a yellow pad, then during the requested standards, you need to provide the subject with the same material. So it should be yellow pad. If the writing instrument is a pencil, then you need to provide the subject subjected for the production of requested standard with the same material. It should be pencil as well. So as much as possible, it should be similar. Okay? And remember that in terms of the paper, it varies on the sizes. Diba? Naatay paper for grade 1, paper for grade 2, paper for intermediate. We do have yellow pad, we do have green pad, we do have pink pad. So dapat as much as possible, you need to provide them with the same writing instrument and the material by observing also the sizes and also making sure if it is ruled or unruled. Kabantay mo anang bond paper. Ang bond paper is an example of unruled material. Nga naman, wa siya line. But your yellow pad, your pink pad, your intermediate, your grade 1 paper, your grade 4 paper, hay nako, even your stationery, these are examples of ruled paper. Kaya nga naman, naama siya lines. Okay? Another, never permit the subject to see the writing. Muna kong giingon, it should be in dictation. Even kanang imuhang ipasulat niya, nga imuhang napili nga words or letters nga ipasulat, dapat dili nimo ipakita niya. Para not to give any kanabang any opportunity on the subject who is planning to disguise his or her writing nga buhaton. Another, dictate the material to be written. Yes, man akong giingon. So, in terms with the dictation, if what is written in the questioned document or disputed document is naka-cursive, o si cursive, tinapot. Kung naka-black handwriting, but pasabot tanang kapital. Kung naka-manuscript, ingon ani. only the first letter of the word is capitalized, dapat you need to observe that. Okay? So kung giyon sa pagsulat, mo dyan ay imuhang pangayoon nga standards. Dili kay sa imuhang disputed or question document, naka-cursive, nya imuhang pagpasulat sa imong subject, naka-hand, naka-black handwriting, meaning to say, tanan naka-capital. That should not be the case. Okay? Another, remove each specimen. Muna kung giingon niya ganina. That after the dictation, you need to remove the paper. You need to get the writing instrument. And you need to provide a kanabang a time, an interval in terms with the getting of the specimen. Para, again, to avoid the most common problem in obtaining a requested standard, which is the possible disguise of handwriting. Letter F. Observe all writing done by the subjects and indicate any attempt of disguise. And whenever the subject appeared to be normally right or left-handed. Yes, that is correct. So kinanglan, ikaw mismo, you need to ask your subject, unsa man ka? Right-handed? Unsa man ka left-handed? Nganong it's very important kay one of the most common technique para to disguise its original handwriting is to use the wrong hand. Ngano mo akong gigamit nga term is wrong hand. For example, you are right-handed. Imong gamiton is left. So meaning to say, your left is your wrong hand. Vice versa, if you are left-handed and you will use your right, therefore your right is your wrong hand. I get my point. By using the wrong hand, it can immediately disguise your handwriting. So that is why, as an expert, you need to be very, very careful in making sure that the subject is using the right hand, not the wrong hand. Question? Paspas ra kong istorya. Are you still with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, pangutana, before ta mo proceed. Questions? Sige na. Wala? Okay, so since there are no questions, let us proceed. Now let's proceed with the collecting of informal. Again, what is an informal exemplar? Let's try to ask Torres, what is an informal exemplar dong? What is the other term for informal
Ma'am,
exemplar?
informal exemplar, ma'am, is collected, ma'am.
That is good.
Collected exemplar.
Correct. So now let's proceed with the collection of the collected standards or exemplar. So exemplar must be suitable for comparison with the questioned writing. Pero actually, in terms with the collection of the informal exemplar, it also observes a similar procedure with your requested. Nga kinahanglan in terms with the material, you need to look for those executed writings nga with the same material and the same writing instrument. Like for example, if the question document or the disputed document is written in a bond paper, then you need to look for also mga informal exemplars that were also executed or written rather in a bond paper. So if it is written in a bond paper using red ball pen, then as much as possible you need to look for mga collected standards or informal exemplars that are also written in a bond paper and written using a red ball pen. So as you can see, kinahanglan it should be similar. And another thing, I have also emphasized this in our last meeting, that in terms with the collection of informal exemplar, it's very important nga kung mahimo ha, dili dapat siya those exemplars nga bag-o ra kong gihimo. Like for example, assuming nga si Ramirez ni commit og suicide. Okay. And the investigator has ruled out the possibility of kanilaging suicide. Ko ilang gilantaw nga possible nga it is a stage crime. So kinahanglan dapat a day before siya namatay, those are the kuan informal exemplars that you need to look for, or a week before, a month before. Ma'am, what if wala siya a day before? Wala siya a month before? Wala siya a year before? Pwede ba ganap tong gamitong ang 3 years before? Pwede rin. Pwede ba ang 4 years before siya namatay? Pwede Japon. Pwede ba ang 6 years? The answer is no. Pwede ba ang 5 years? The answer is yes. Pero ang 5 years before siya nagpakamatay actually is being discouraged. Gani. Kaya ang pinaka-ideal, it should be a day before, a week before, or a month before. Nga nung last option na lang ng written 4 or 5 years before. Kay remember, as we get older, pwede tang magka-acquire og sakit. Mo na akong gidiscuss una. And even your illness, your age, can even affect your handwriting. Or another, na-aksidente ka, naghiwa ka, di pagka mo pulso mong gihiwa, it can also affect, no? It can also affect your handwriting. So mo nang, it would be ideal nga a day before, a week before, or a month before. Kanang 5 years before, last option na lang na. But beyond 5 years, kung mahimo dili na gani. Pero sometimes pod, maglisod pod ang question document examiner in looking for a collected standards that are written not more than 5 years. Kaya nga naman, sometimes our production of handwriting, it also depends on the nature of our job. Like for example, if you are a tricycle driver, sige di ka gasulat. Dili gyud. If you are a call center agent, sige di ka gasulat. May put sila nga, oo ma'am, kana ding digital handwriting. Ay noon, pwede put. Another, what are other jobs that does not require writing? Mm, Janitor ka, sige di ka gasulat. So sometimes, mo po ni siya usa sa mga problema being encountered by a question document examiner because sometimes the production of writings also depends on the nature of job. Okay, or it also sometimes it also affects whether the subject is kuan ka na bang a student or not. Like in your case, wala problema kada kan kay mong standards. But what if wala mo nag-eskwela, nagpabulan mo? Do you even expect a person nga nagpabulan to keep on writing? Dili. So sometimes these are some of the circumstances that affects in the collection of the informal exemplars. Another, locating the material to be used as evidence may require considerable effort. Mo siya akong gingon. Considerable effort on the part of the question document examiner or the investigator himself. Okay? Remember that our standards or exemplar are very important. Kay unsaon man nimo pag-identify sa similarities and dissimilarities of the handwriting if you do not have any adequate standards or exemplar. Mo nang, sometimes, kung gamay ra gyud, mo nang they will resort to kuan kana bang collection of a requested handwriting.
Masito ko yan nga glasses kay anas teacher pang sunglasses ba?
Ah, kani. Wala ko yellow. Kani. Lakaw. Pakita ang teacher ka na. Wala ko yellow. Di jud ka ra maka-apil. Ko kani bang laki na adjay tagging of colors. Dili mo sulot og purple kay binabahi. Ano man ang naitabo na inani? Continue. Try to obtain signatures that are similar to the question signature. Sometimes, getting a signature is also difficult. Kaya naman, naiuban pa din dagan ng signature. Na formal signature, na scribble signature, na initials lang ibutang. Ano man yung tawon mo. But in my case, I only have one signature. I only use one signature for both formal and informal ng mga documents. Another, if the question signature is in ink, okay, get the signature also that is in ink. Okay? So if it is color red, then you look for signatures that are written in color red. If it is blue, do the same. If it is red, it is pink, you do the same. If it is green, you do the same. If it is a pencil, if the question signature is a pencil, then you need to look for signatures that are also written using a pencil. Ma'am, what if ink signature pero gigamit gel ink? Nya ang gigamit kuan 0.5 millimeters. Then you need to look for the same. Ma'am, what if 1 mm? What if ang gigamit fountain pen? As much as possible, you look for the same. My word is as much as possible. Both pasabot, kung wadyo kay laing makitaan, ay da. Di ka na kung unsay naa, mura imong gamiton. Pero again, extra effort on the part of the question document examiner and the investigator to look for as much as possible similar documents or signatures that are written on the same material as much as possible. Another, where no similar documents are available, mo na kong giingon, try to locate documents whose authenticity can be verified, such as the checks that may have been accepted by the bank, and other documents executed in irregular business are also suitable. So, pwede ang mga letters, correspondence, pwede checks. So the date of the question writing must be taken into consideration also. Therefore, looking for a suitable comparable document. So while an adult handwriting may remain constant for years, writing habits normally change over the time and it becomes outdated and it may be unsatisfactory for the purposes of comparison. And all writings are not equal value and may be of no value at all. Muna kung giingon ninyo nga, lisod kayo pagbulong lagi o collected or informal standards kay. Our writing changes, our habits changes. So, naiuban nato, musulat og thank you, una, gispell out pa ng word nga thank you. Naiuban, murag doktor na musulat og word nga thank you. Ingon ana. So, muna kung giingon nga, as much as possible, it should be the samples or standards that you will look for should be written on the same day ba or the same week or within the month in another. When gathering handwriting for comparison purposes, it is necessary to keep in mind that various factors cause the change. Just what I have mentioned, your age changes your handwriting. Your illness changes your handwriting. Imuhang teenager style changes your handwriting when you go to college. Your elementary handwriting, it changes when you go to high school. Samotang it changes the moment you reach college. Do you get my point? Another, your writing also, your standards of handwriting is not the same when you were still out of drugs and when you become an addict. Same as your handwriting is also quite different when you were not yet alcoholic, and also it's no longer the same when you become alcoholic. To get my point? Another, handwriting changes gradually over a person's lifetime, but some factors cause drastic changes in a short period. So, it is essential to compare handwriting in a similar frame. Mutong gingon, the same week, the same day, the same month. So, what are the common factors that affect or produces drastic changes in your handwriting? Palayusin ba kung ma-stroke ka? Ayaw mo si kaog baboy ha. Ma-stroke ka. Mm. Sa pamilain, um, loss of spouse, mambatian kag bana. Sometimes, because when you are sad, your handwriting changes. When you are sick, magka-COVID ka, galuyan na lamang ka.
Pass mo, ma'am.
Mapas mo, pwede ba pagkupot og ballpen kung mapas mo, magdirekta naman na?
Magkurog-kurog.
Ah,
Hoy,
kurog ma'am.
bisag akupot na kag ballpen?
Masulod
Oo,
kay
Kana ra
mapas
yung
mo
wakay
na ko
gikupta
ma'am.
niya maganana ra siya. Except if you do have Parkinson's disease. Magkurog naman guna bisan you're holding a writing instrument. Or kanang na-addict
Yung
ka.
pass mo, ma'am.
Pas mo. Di ko sure ha. Kaya wa pa mo ko kasulay magug ka nang napas mo gyud. Di mo kurugpot kayo akong kamot. Kanang laki ayaw mo papapas mo lalaki na sa puding taon mo. Okay, nana ha. So, I think if you are pas mo, kung magkupot na ka og writing instrument and you put your hands sa paper, di na po mag-ana-ana. Unless tagay kong Parkinson's. disease kay bisag you're holding something magkurog-kurog ra man gyud na. Or another, mo ta kung giingon if nahimo kang addict, it changes your handwriting. Samot na og maputlan ka. Mo na pa
Kana
rin.
nasobrahan kag katawa, ma'am.
Huy, don't you know that in the study of human behavior, excessive laughing is abnormal? Kana pong kuan unusual reaction to jokes that are very blunt. Ya pagkahuman pati jud nimo dako ag ngisi sa dili kalatawan. It also means that you are
Murag
abnormal.
abnormal, ma'am.
Gani, it also means that you are abnormal.
Ganay gamay, ma'am.
Munag kamo, you need to be very careful with your reaction. If it is funny, then you laugh. Pero kung igo-igo ng pagkakalatawan, igo-igo na pong reaction. Dili kayo funny, imong reaction na sobrang nagkabuang man, buang na ka. So that is abnormal. Okay? Then another thing, so, pareho anang yung, what if na-aksidente? Mula gyud akong giingon. Don't you know ka na magpakamatay mo? Kana bang mag-cut mo sa yung pulso ba?
Maglaslas, ma'am.
Maglaslas niya, maduot siyag maayo. Bisan pa og matahi na siya, it affects your kamot. Manang uban magpakuan sila, magpa-therapy. Pero bisa magpa-therapy, di na gani siya mabalik og normal. Because my brother, wa siya galaslas ha. Pero when we were still young, uso magud sa mong barangay that if it is padulong December, padulong New Year, and even after New Year, masigig pabuto. Nya kaning mga kargado buluyago ni among lugar, ang mahitabo, magbutang sila og pabuto. Kato bang what to say ba to yung ngalan tong triangle? Sakto ba ko? Ito bang triangle ba? Nga pabuto, di ba kusog man na sa una? I don't know if napabay baligang inana.
What to say, ma'am.
What to say o kana. Ang ilang buhaton, ina nang butangan og baso nga bildo. Ting mauto ka bitaw to sa una. Kana. Dayon kami bata, the usual behavior bata, manglaag yun na kay magtigdula. To make the story short, nagpabuto sila. Sus ko, kay ning agbaso nga ilang gibutang. Nasalsag man tungod sa kakusog. So, naglagpot. Pag panglagpot, direkta man pong naigo sa kamot sa kong igsuon. So, diri gyud naigo niya. So, mo nang my brother karon, though it's still functional, pero kuan, ayang kamot dili na maana, gaana ra, gaana. Kay tungod affected ang affected ang iyahang movement sa iyahang fingers tungod kay nakat ang iyahang sa tawag ani, iyahang veins kana. Or another is madisgrasya ka. Huy kamo magmotor mo pahinay mo ha. Yuso katong matapin sa Valencia. Valencia was it in Valencia or Zamboanga ba? Zamboanguita ba to? Ito ba yung motor color yellow? I think that was last week or karon ba tong week ka? You need to be careful kung magmotor mo. Dapat inyong dinaybag motor pang pamilya. Dili kay pang sports. Dapat pang
Ya,
pamilya.
kay mga dangag, ma'am.
Pero muna kung giingon, tinuod yun na siya na uban nga dangag. So may nang mas maayo pa na magpahinay ta kaysa magpakusog ta. Pero mo lagi akong giingon nga every time we go out, you need to pray nga safe mong mauli. Whenever maabot po sa inyo, you need to pray nga pasalamat nga sa iyo mong nauli. So karong pasalamat as Ginoo nga nakaklase mo, nakaapil mo sa akong klase, nakaklase ko ninyo. Kaya nga naman the Lord is giving us another opportunity to do good and to be a blessing to other people. So munang we are very fortunate. Paglantaw lagi na ako ato, it made me realize nga whatever kada bang time that we do or the time that we are spending with our family is really a blessing yun. Kay laliman ka, paggawas nimo pwede na kang mamatay, pero buhi pa ganita. Nang thank you Lord. So man pud ni. Mm. Kaliyaw, very early for the next subject. Kaliyaw?
Yes, ma'am.
O nga nung karon pa ka?
Hina yung connection, ma'am.
Ay, tawa na ka. Gi-love letter na ra ba ka? Okay, so let's continue. Another thing is that writing executed about the date of questioned material should be used for comparison purposes. So some dated shortly before and after the date. So what time frame is considered suitable? So these are documents executed within 2 to 3 years are the most suited. Kung kinanglang layo, as much as possible, naragod sa 2 or 3. Pero ang kinagulangan, 5. Pero as much as possible, ayaw nalagyan ng 5. Kung mahimo, a week before, a month before, or a year before, kana mo'y arang-arang. So another is make sure that your exemplars are not disputed. Correct! So muna akong giingon nga kung naa gani ka makitaan nga mga handwritings that were already executed, you need to recheck also its source kung it is really known. Like for example kanang sa cheque, oh, you ka asa man nimo na i-verify sa bangko. Okay? To ensure that what you're getting is really an informal exemplar. Okay? Kay when you say exemplar, meaning to say that the source is known. So after collection, need to verify also kung kuan ba siya can be considered as informal. Kay basig what you're collecting is still a disputed. Then ang may tabo, it might affect the result of your examination. Another, any contradicted testimony of a competent eyewitness who saw the execution of the writing can be used to verify the authenticity. Yeah. Another, the court accepts the testimony of the author, admitting the genuineness, and someone to whom the author has admitted the genuineness. Okay, so gigamit tayo sa gi-accept sa korte ang testimony of the author. Kamo claim siya nga, oh, ako'y gasulat ana, or probably the witness. For example, kanang naay mga memorandum of agreement. Every time naay himuon nga memorandum of agreement, automatic on the second page or on the last page na siya witness. So the witnesses can testify if ever there will be questions or argument that will be raised over NAMOA, then the witness can verify and can attest whether the document was really written or the signature was really affixed by the said author or wala. Another, the testimony of the person who received the writing from the author and acted into is also valid, though not necessarily accurate. So the document executed in a normal course of business are frequently used for comparison purposes, which includes kana sa cheque, sa contract, sa business, sa correspondence, sa letters. These are also utilized. Another, document examiners have given erroneous conclusions based on the forged exemplar. So when the exemplar have been fabricated, but pasabot giusob, okay, erroneous in nature, by the same writer as the forged material. So, an opinion of authenticity is based on false information will occur. So, the document examiner mistakenly identified Hitler as the author of the Hitler diaries because they used the forged exemplar of Hitler for comparison. Muna kong giingon lagi, the as a document examiner or the investigator collecting the standards itself or exemplar itself, importante kaayo that you need to verify thoroughly what you are collecting. Establish the author properly para to avoid any false information, para to avoid any incorrect conclusions. Kay pariuan this is an example nga gadangag ang author. Agaadangag ang ang question document examiner. Mao nang without verifying properly the exemplars collected without verifying its source, ang naitabo he was able to collect a forged or fabricated or disguised signature. So ang naitabo sayop pud ang iyang paghimo og conclusions. Do you get my point? Questions, clarifications? Question? Question do you have?
None, ma'am.
None, ma'am.
Sige nan. Stop sharing. Time sa ha.